Medbay B3 smells like antiseptic and burnt copper, the scent the sterilizers make when the gravity plates hiccup. I'm halfway through rethreading the IV printer when the alarm pings. Life pod survivor. Unknown bioflag. The text crawls red across my console like a cut that won't clot. I get there first. The pod's cracked like an egg on the intake cradle, frost smoking off the seams. The black box blinks a coded scream only the bridge can hear. She's on the med cot, slim under a thermal blanket, copper-red strands pasted to her temple. Ears delicately tapered, not grown that way, but engineered to look like a myth. She opens her eyes, and the room tilts a notch toward the edge of something I don't have a name for. She reaches for me without lifting a hand. It's not touch. It's pressure from the inside out, a warm current pushing through my thoughts. Then a white flash and the hard thump of a barrier field kicking her back. She flinches. The cot shudders against the anchors. The containment lattice hums like angry bees. That's enough, I say, more to the room than to her. I kill the barrier with my crew override. Low status doesn't mean no access when you're the one who keeps people stitched together. The hum dies. Her shoulders unclench like someone just lifted a ship off her. I move slow. Water first. I uncap a bulb, touch it to her lower lip. She drinks like it hurts less than speaking. The monitor on my wrist ticks steady. 68, 70. The only metronome that matters in a crisis. Here, I tell her, and set it in her palm so she can hear it herself. My pulse. My honest body saying, stay. You're safe, sweetheart. Her cheeks flush rose. So do the tips of those impossible ears. She looks at me the way people look at windows at night, half seeing themselves, half seeing the dark beyond. Say it again, she replies in flawless standard. Not an accent, an inheritance. I take a breath I didn't know I'd lost. You're safe, sweetheart. She closes around the word as if it's heat. I am Nia, she says. 7th of the circle. The capitals hang between us. Titles don't mean much on the atlas, unless they come with a mop, a wrench, or a shift nobody wants. But the medbed's vitals don't lie, and neither does the way she sits. Spine straight like ceremony was taught to her bones. Ethan Cole, I say. Med tech, B-deck. I fix things. Sometimes people. Her gaze tracks the room. The auto-suture carousel. The Hydra arm scanner with one servo stuck. I keep meaning to file that ticket. The foam patching kit wedged under a label printer, because this ship was built 3 lifetimes ago and lived through 4. She catalogs it all like an inventory officer. Then she looks back at my hand, and the monitor resting there. The faint green graph crawls under her thumb. The circle has a protocol for this, she murmurs, more to herself than to me. Contact, assessment, contract. The last word lands like a metal coin. I issue terms. I purchase. Care. No purchase necessary, I say, before I can help myself. Breathing is on the house. She tilts her head. The copper hair slips. I tuck it back without thinking. She watches the movement with the seriousness of a flight plan. You offer without contract? That's how we do it out here. A faint furrow creases her brow, as if a subroutine failed to load. And there, in that tiny frown, something opens. Not a door. A window. The door to the bay hisses. I slap it shut with my heel. Privacy. She doesn't flinch this time. Instead, she waits, listening. Eyes on my mouth, then on the steady pulse line under her thumb, then back to my mouth, as if those 2 rhythms might be the same. 7th of the circle, I say carefully. Where were the first 6? Her reply is a flake of ice melting. Alive, above me. A beat. And below me, those not permitted to speak. My skin prickles. I've heard rumors, Concord hierarchies, silent ranks, the way they ration affection like oxygen. But rumors don't flush pink when you call them sweetheart. She shifts, winces. The medcot flashes a micro-fracture readout on her clavicle. I reach for the stabilizer gel. She tenses, not at the pain, but at my hand moving without her issuing an order. I'm going to touch your shoulder, I say. Warm first, then cold. Breathe with me. She nods. Small, almost a bow. I spread the gel. It cools, knits. Her breath hitches, then falls into time with mine. Eye to eye, breath to breath. For the first time, it isn't protocol. It's a warm, stubborn pull, like brushing past someone in a narrow passage and feeling the current their body makes around yours. A tremor runs through the deck, gravity plates correcting again. The light strip over us flickers, and for a heartbeat, I see her reflection in the cabinet glass. A commander who has never been held without a price. A girl holding a stolen pulse like contraband. Why did you hit the field? I ask gently. You reached for me. I reached to read you, she admits. And that word admits sounds like it costs her. To know the vectors, threat, price, leverage, she swallows. But the field, hurt. And the reaching, her lashes lower. Less. I could ask 100 things. About the circle, about how she slipped into a life pod alone, about the burned sigils I noticed on the pod casing, Concord salvage marks, wiped in a hurry. I don't. I anchor the monitor back on my wrist. The room feels smaller now, not because the walls have moved, but because we have. Okay, I say. We start simple. Water, heat, rest, no contracts, no leverage. Her lips part as if to argue. Close, open again. Then you will say it, she whispers, so quietly the bed almost doesn't register the sound. The word. A smile finds me from somewhere I haven't been in years. You're safe, sweetheart. Her breathing changes, not softer, deeper, as if she's stepping off something high and choosing not to fall. Outside, third shift murmurs over cheap noodles in the galley. Maintenance drones clatter through the spine, replacing magnet boots. A kid on C deck sells fresh coffee out of a vat and calls it luxury. Life on the Atlas keeps moving. In here, Naya watches me hold the line steady with nothing but patience and 2 steady hands. Ethan Cole, she says, tasting the syllables like code. This gift, it violates my instructions. Good, I tell her, and check the collarbone readout one more time. Some instructions deserve it. She studies me, then the ceiling, then the faint seam where the light panel meets bulkhead. If I cannot purchase care, she says slowly, how do I keep it? You don't, I say, and her eyes flash in alarm until I finish. You don't keep it. You give it, and somehow, it keeps you. Silence. Then the smallest knot, like a star winking in a slit of cloud. The medbed pings bone-knit 90%. I should call the watch, log the survivor, file the chain. Instead, I reset the barrier field to off and hang a privacy drape the color of dusk. Rest, I say. I'll be right here. Her lashes settle. Her fingers, still learning me, brush my wrist as if testing gravity. I let her feel the pulse again, the ship's old heart beating in my skin. And for the first time since the alarm, the room feels warm. Not because of the sterilizers, because something in me said, stay, and something in her chose to. Hydroponics is supposed to smell like damp rope and mint. Today it smells like a blown fuse. I'm halfway through swapping a nutrient filter with a wrench older than I am when the deck yawns under my boots. My magnet soles chirp. The world slips. Someone swears over the comms. Then the gravity plates go from 0.92 G to shrug. We lift. Trays of basil swing loose and hover like obedient satellites. Nutrient bulbs shimmer free of their ports, each a wobbling tear of green light. I grab for a handhold, and catch empty air. My harness rings the rail with a musical clang as I tumble slow motion past a tower of strawberries. "Nia," I call, because she's supposed to be strapped at the aisle's end, auditing damage for med, not floating through it. "I am here," she says, and then she is, slicing into view with no hurry, no panic, just that calm the void teaches predators and priests. She swims through the air as if it's water, palms slicing, knees folding, a dancer working out gravity's betrayal with grace. She catches my harness with 2 fingers and a low laugh that puts summer into the cold. Our bodies knock to a stop, a breath apart, close enough to count the flecks in her eyes, close enough to hear the tiny click of her tongue wetting her lip before she pulls me into the rail's embrace and locks my boot to the crossbar with her knee. Her hair, copper red, floats around us like a comet's tail. I forget the filter, the wrench, my name. Failure in Bay B hydrograv, the intercom drones. Stabilizers rebooting in. Unknown. Unknown, I echo, which is ship for prey. Naya's fingers settle at my harness buckle. Professional, then linger. Unprofessional enough to make the air feel thinner. "You are poorly designed for drift," she observes. "Yeah? And you come with fins?" She tips her head toward the vine canopy overhead, where a rank of broad leaves has opened like a choir. I am trained for absence. The circle runs drills in silence and drop. And your rail etiquette is inefficient. She moves me like a chess piece, one palm at my waist, the other guiding my boot. There. We hang together in the green-gold dim, a city-sized garden unhooked from down. A vine snaps somewhere and doesn't fall. It sails, the severed end, shedding pale sap that beads into pearls. Those pearls glow, not harsh like a hazard light. Soft. The glow flickers in time with something I can't hear. Naya notices it when I do. Her laugh fades into concentration, the kind that folds her brow and softens her mouth. Listen to the plants. They're quiet, I say, because they are. No leaf rustle, no drip, only the ship's faint bones creaking. "Listen with your skin," she says, and takes my hand, pressing it against a fat leaf the size of my forearm. The leaf thrums, weak as a kitten's purr. Across the bay, other leaves kindle, dim, kindle, uncertain stars. "They're responding," I breathe. "To what?" "To us," she answers, and now it's not pride but surprise in her voice. "To the field between us." "You're telling me hydroponic spinach is blushing?" Her eyes spark. We do not blush spinach, but Concord cultivation arrays sometimes entrain to command biometrics, loyalty gardens. The phrase lands on my tongue like a curse. Not like this. Not like this, because this isn't a command. It's 2 idiots in a floating jungle, hanging on a rail and pretending the air isn't getting warmer between their mouths. She sets my stance, hands at her waist, my knee to the rail, and we glide together. Barely a push, our bodies learning a slow dance the ship never taught me. My chest brushes hers in small, clumsy eclipses. The bioluminescent leaves brighten in a hush, as if the bay itself leans in to watch. "I should call this in," I say, not moving. "You should," she agrees, not letting go. "But your mouth is dry. Betrayed by saliva." I swallow, and it sounds loud. Her lips close. The urge to kiss her is stupid and huge and perfectly timed to emergency. I want to do it now, here, while the plants play lantern and the whole ship holds its breath and the plates have forgotten their job. After. Waffles, I manage, because humor buys you seconds dignity won't. She smiles in a way that has nothing ceremonial in it. Earthly. "After," she whispers, and glances at my lips like a pilot checking instruments. The look hits the base of my spine, like gravity turned back on for a second, then reconsidered. "I accept your pancake ceremony. Waffles, I correct. More squares, more possibility. Her chuckle is soft and human, and it unthreads me. More possibility, she repeats, as if tasting the architecture of the idea. A tray thuds off a bulkhead and spins away like a lazy coin. The intercom crackles with a half-formed prayer from engineering, then quits. I should be thinking about the checkpoints, save the feed lines, close the float curtains, lock the seed banks. Instead, I catalog her. The faint oxidation freckled along her harness ring, a silver scar like a brush of comet dust near her collarbone where I sealed the fracture. The way she keeps trying to stand up, even with no down to stand to. Tell me something true, I say, because truth is lighter than air and harder to hold. My name is Naya 7, she says, eyes on mine, and I feel the 7 like a bruise she carries inside. I was trained to make people move the way numbers move, and to be moved only by numbers. And now? Now I am moved by a word I do not own, she says, barely audible. Sweetheart. The leaves around us swell brighter, as if someone whispered a code to the room. The glow isn't magic. It's chemistry and design singing to a beat that doesn't belong to a contract. I reach and let a drifting bulb tap my knuckle. It trembles, then tethers to a vine with a thin filament the color of breath. You did that, I ask. We did that, she says. Your pulse is reckless. She taps her temple. And I am disobedient. Somewhere in the ship, stabilizers argue themselves into coherence. A slow tug licks the soles of my boots and retreats, like the ocean testing sand. Naya steadies me with a palm that moves from practical to necessary, along a gradient I feel and do not name. You said loyalty gardens, I say, thinking of her last words, of how the circle must grow feelings in tanks and portion them out like rations. They make plants obedient? They make everything obedient, she answers. Plants. People. Time. Even grief. She glances at the nearest vine, and her face changes. Something like pity. Something like envy. But a plant raised by purchase becomes tasteless. The circle calls it purity. And you? I call it hunger. The word eats the space between us. For a heartbeat, I forget how to be clever. I touch the strap at her shoulder, where the fabric thins from wear. Her breath slips, then returns. She watches my hand, as if my fingers are negotiating with her history. Ethan, she says. Yeah? When gravity returns, she says, we will be heavier. That's the deal, I say. You pay for falling with weight. Then I prefer to drift a minute longer. She draws me that fraction closer that turns two shadows into one shape. Say it. The ship hums. The leaves glow. The garden swims on its axis. I don't know if engineering will save us. I don't know if the circle can see us through a camera right now, measuring our heat and writing the report that ends me. You're safe, sweetheart, I say, and the word is not a key or a leash. It is a hand held out in the dark. Her eyes close, just for a blink, and open newer. After, she repeats. After, I promise. The plates cough. Weight returns by degrees, then all at once. The trays plummet like rain. We crash into the rail with a grunt that will bruise later, and I start moving, because that's what I do when the world remembers down. I secure, I triage, I keep the green from dying. Naya moves with me, not leading, not following, matching. She slaps float curtains, seals feed lines, catches a bank of seedlings on her forearm, and writes them with the tenderness of a thief reshelving stolen books. When a tray slams toward my head, she kicks off a post, twists midair, and takes the hit on her shoulder, using her own body like a shield. It rings off her harness. The look she gives me after is a lecture in no language, One part don't be careless, one part I will be. Debt, she says, breathing hard. We track it. We don't, I say, pulling a curtain. We remember? Then I will remember, she answers, and it sounds like a vow. By the time the bay stabilizes, the glow has faded to ordinary green. The leaves hang quiet, as if the room has decided to pretend it's a garden again. My wrists ache. Her mouth carries the ghost of a smile she hasn't authorized. Waffles, she says, and it isn't a question. After my shift, I say. After the report. After I pretend I didn't almost kiss you in a floating jungle. She considers. Then I will practice being patient. Practice? I was built for urgency, she says, and the way she says built puts steel filings on my tongue. But I can learn slowness. You will show me. One square at a time. More possibility, I remind. More possibility, she echoes, and for a beat we just stand there. 2 specks of carbon in a metal lung, pretending possibility is a plan. Engineering pings success. Hydrograv is back. The intercom coughs out apologies and recipes for preventing system hiccups, like we didn't all just drift. I log the incident, file the chain, understate everything. Naya watches me with that ceremonial stillness, then breaks it by nudging a fallen strawberry into my palm. For sweetness, she says. Unpurchased. I bite. It tastes like the opposite of obedience. It tastes like weight returning where you want it. We walk out of the bay without touching. The air between us still glows. Power comes back in shivers. Lights steady. The ship relearns down. Hydroponics sighs like something green let go of a secret. I finish the incident report. Undersell the glow, oversell the clamps, and ping, engineering a thanks I can't afford to write as we almost made the lettuce fall in love with us. Naya watches the cursor blink like it's trying to think. Waffles after, I remind her. After one small detour, she replies. We take the service corridor no one fights for. A narrow artery behind the wreck deck that smells like sealant and citrus cleaner. The motion sensors make light islands that bloom and die as we pass. Someone chalked a sun on the bulkhead years ago. Someone else scratched a date through it and wrote still here. Naya's fingers trail the scuffs with a curiosity that feels like reverence. The observation window waits at the bend like an eye held open. Beyond it, star-spattered black, cold and endless. The Atlas, a rusting lung-exhaling vapor that crystallizes and skates away. Inside, 2 people pretending to be maintenance checking on a gasket. We slip into the recess by the window, shoulder to shoulder, close enough that I can feel the warmth of her through the fabric of her borrowed jacket. The ship hums. The glass sings a note so low you feel it in bone. The curve of the observation frame makes a cradle. It's the kind of place you fall into secrets without meaning to. She leans her forehead to mine like that's a thing she learned in a manual. How to line up 2 people until their thinking calibrates. Her eyes close. Mine try. The world outside shrinks in its own enormity. Breathe with me, I say, because it always begins simple. In for 4. Hold for 2. Out for 6. My chest rises. Hers matches. We find a rhythm the ship can't audit. Her fingertips touch my sternum, counting. 1, 2, 3. Like stepping stones across a creek. She maps the ridges of my ribs, as if a cartographer might one day need a chart for Ethan Cole. Country of. The pads of her fingers leave warmth that lingers and expands, a heat shadow of her root. I'm memorizing, she says, in case the circle takes the rest. I go very still. They're not taking anything. They always take something, she whispers. If they cannot take you, they will take time. If not time, language. If not language, names. If not names, sleep. And you? They took mine early, she says without complaint, as if it were a weather report. But now I am collecting a new set: waffles, basil, drift, sweetheart. The last word changes the temperature of the narrow room. I don't know what the manual says about a med tech kissing a Concord runaway by the window that looks out on the end of everything. I only know the list of don't I have stitched to my ribs, don't get attached, don't break chain, don't believe you're the exception. The list is good at 300 when a kid burns his hands on a power plate and cries until he hiccups. The list is bad now when the air itself tastes like copper and promise. I choose do. I move without hurry. A palm to the back of her neck, my thumb learning the angle of bone. A pause to ask with my eyes. Her consent is a breath that finds me. A yes that is not a word, but the slackening of the muscles around her mouth. Our noses bump. We laugh, the tiny sound of people who haven't earned this yet, but are taking it anyway. The kiss is careful, honest. No theater. The first touch is skin trying a new temperature and liking it. The second is apology for the first's clumsiness. The third is oh. Heat slides up my spine and pools under my tongue. Her mouth opens the way doors open when storms pass. My hand remembers her nape. Her hand grips my sleeve like anchoring. Outside the glass, a tiny chunk of ice drifts by, spinning. Inside, my breath fogs a faint oval we could fit 2 foreheads in. We stop before sense evaporates. The print of that brief heat sits on the window, like a mark a future version of us might find and touch to remember how reckless we were. She stays close, lips a thumb's width from mine, breathing changing. Slower. Deeper. Not broken. Different. I like when you say sweetheart, she admits, voice rougher now, an instrument detuned by being played. It does not mean purchase. It means place. It means you point and say here. I like how you look at me, I answer, because I promised we'd trade truths in small pieces, like we're the same size. Her smile is a new species, endangered because the world will try to hunt it, protected because I will stand between it and the hunters. She touches my face with the backs of her fingers, like I'm the fragile thing. Her pupils flare, then settle. An old problem, she says. The circle calibrates presence by rank. The higher looks down, the lower looks up. You and I look level, and my training is unsteady. Good, I say. Let it wobble. She almost laughs, then steadies herself again, attention tilting as if she's listening to a channel I can't tune. I cannot feel the Concord beacon here. The window pours noise across my receiver. She taps her temple. That is a discovery. Add it to the list, I say, next to waffles and bioluminescent spinach. Spinach did not blush, she insists, and we both know it did. For 10 quiet minutes, we do nothing the chain would log as productive. We stand, breathe, share silence like bread. She tastes the word after aloud once, and the idea of time sounds almost edible. Then the world intrudes in the way it always does when you start to think the ship might let you have a corner. A whisper tickles my ear. Comms bleed knocking against the unshielded window. Doc. Concord. Call. I go cold. Naya goes statue. The intercom crackles shipwide, official voice, the kind that never gets crumbs in it. All hands. Concord cruiser Vigilant is alongside. Stand by for inspection. Med. Report current non-standard bioflags to command in the next 5. Nia exhales like someone took her lungs and squeezed them. Director call, she says, and the name is a door slamming in a long corridor. She holds my contract. You don't have one here, I say, kneeling my voice on a nail so it won't shake. You have me. She will erase that, Naya says simply. She will straighten the wobble. She looks at the glass and all the black beyond. I should surrender. No, I say, too fast. You have a ship, she counters. I am one person. The math is simple. Then let's cheat. I palm the panel under the window and pop the service hatch to the maintenance spine. Cold air snakes out. The spine is a blind alley of pipes and struts, and a ladder that goes where safety manuals avert their gaze. I swing in because I already decided 10 minutes ago in a floating garden that I was done with the math that keeps people lonely. Ethan, she says, and it sounds like asking and warning and worship, and I don't deserve any of it yet. What are you doing? Finding after, I say. I know a shuttle nobody loves. She listens when you whisper and lies when you ask her straight questions. We cut through the dead beacon zone. We come out dusted in noise. Ka'al counts twice and gets the wrong answer. Naya's pupils go wide enough to make her eyes night. She looks once at the window, once at me. Then she nods, fast and small, like a bird deciding a branch can hold it. You will say it, she whispers, as if the word is a passport. In the dark, in the dark, in the noise, in the stupid places. I take her hand, the one that memorized my ribs. You're safe, sweetheart. Her breathing changes again, the way it did in Med, the way it did in Green Drift. She steps into the hatch. We descend into the artery that keeps the ship alive, and for the first time since the alarm, I feel like I am, too. The maintenance spine is a steel throat. We slide through it like a swallowed secret, knees ringing the ladder, breath ghosting pipes that carry the Atlas's heat from places with too much to places with none. Naya moves above me without sound, a shadow learning to be a person. Somewhere overhead, clamps bite hull. The cruiser has us. Med to command, the intercom orders, polite as a threat. Report non-standard bioflags in the next 5. I kill my wrist unit's transmit and leave the receive cracked just enough to hear the tone of whoever tries to own us. We drop into Bay E9, service shuttles lined like old dogs waiting for a job no one posts. A strip of hazard tape flaps in the recirculated breeze. The one I want is third from the end, paint scabbed, hydraulics, sighing, even asleep. Maggie. She's flown places the ship denies exist. Naya reads the call sign, runs her fingers over the scars. Unloved, she diagnoses. Therefore, honest. Honest enough to lie for us, I say, yanking the access panel on her belly. The nav core pings awake, blinks its tired eye. Climb in. Strap centerline. Don't touch the yellow. Those seats blow when the cabin pressure lies. She vaults the ramp like a trained body does, no wasted motion, and takes the centerline harness with ceremonial gravity, like she's agreeing to wear a name she hasn't earned. I dive into the pilot chair that still carries the outline of a better man. My hands find toggles they haven't touched in months. Ethan, the comm breathes. Command here. Where in the void are you? Director calls anchoring us. Inspection in 4. Hydroponics, I lie. Securing feed lines. Get to Med. Now. Copy, I say, and mute before I have to be more inventive. I bring the shuttle alive. Maggie wakes like a boulder learning to sing. Slow, complaining, then sudden. Nia's eyes track the rise of the panels. Coolant temp, pressure curtains, nav array, reaction mass reserve. She doesn't ask what I'm doing because she already knows. She doesn't tell me to stop because she already decided. Before we break anything we can't fix, I say, tell me the worst version. If we run, what does Kal do? She issues a hold on your ship's root authority, Naya answers without flinching. Concord administers gates in this sector. Atlas loses lanes. Fuel priority. Repair queue. Your captain will rage publicly and kneel privately. Residents? Ration cuts. Evictions. Snapped careers. The circle calls it correction. I breathe that in and let it hurt. If we stay, she takes me to the vigilant, Naya says. She reviews the report I wrote before I was reprogrammed to feel your pulse. She erases the part of me that can be moved by any word you make. She seats me back into rank. I will be useful again. Useful like a knife. I hate the word. How long if we run? Until she triangulates our noise, Naya says. Unless? She hesitates, a battlefield in her mouth. Then she turns her face to me like a coin showing its other side. I was not debris, Ethan. I was cargo. The life pod did not fail. I left. I figured, I say. Pods don't crack that clean by accident. In my head, she continues, tapping the spot by her temple where the circle lives. There is a key. Not a code. My pulse. The circle entwined my biometrics with a recall lattice. If call speaks my rank into a command tone, my body returns. I won't even think to resist. She closes her eyes, opens them, steady. But there is another coupling, something I found inside hydroponics when the leaves glowed. Your pulse spiked, and hers will not match it. You're telling me I can jam your leash with a heartbeat. She almost smiles. I am telling you to be loud. Sirens strobe the bay dull red. The deck hum changes as docking locks engage. I've got maybe 2 minutes before a polite man with a polite gun asks why this shuttle thinks it's a bird. I punch Maggie's hatch override. The ramp hisses shut. Atmosphere seals. The cockpit narrows into the kind of tin can that makes prayers taste metallic. Director Call, a voice cuts in, shipwide now. A woman, cool as space. Captain Harat, I require the defective returned. Stand down all launches. If you obstruct, I will align your course with a famine. Naya's hands tighten on the harness. Every muscle in her face goes to attention like a child trying not to flinch. I angle Maggie's nose toward the bay doors. Hold on. Ethan, command barks in my ear. Do not light that shuttle. That is an order. If you launch against Concord instruction, I kill the channel. You don't have to do this, Naya says, low, as if we're already in the dark. My math says you shouldn't. I failed math, I say. And that's not true. But it feels like the right answer to a life that keeps asking me to subtract people to balance a ledger. I shrug out of my jacket, brown, old, torn at the cuff, pockets full of lint and a bolt I swear I'll use, and hold it out. I choose you. Her attention lands like gravity re-engaging. She looks at the jacket as if it is the first uncalculated gift. Her hands are careful when she takes it. Her shoulders are smaller inside it than I expected. She zips it up with the precision of someone assembling armor. Ethan, she says, and I have never heard my name carried so gently through danger. You will say it, and I will not obey her. Every morning, I promise. The bay doors start to open, slow as survival. I don't wait for generous. I light Maggie and punch. Acceleration kisses our spines with a hard mouth. The shuttle screams objections she'll forgive me later. We thread the gap with microns on either side and shatter into a field of glitter. The dock's vapor cloud shredded by our wake. The Vigilant fills the left side of the world, a slab of silver rules and sharp edges, bristling with the kind of money that can move planets. Docking prongs reach like thoughts they don't plan to hide. I dive under them, skim the belly. My knuckles are bone white on the stick. Unregistered shuttle, a Concord voice says, so calm I want to bite it. Power down. Submit to tow. Do not attempt the field. What field? I mutter, because now is when you pretend you don't know there's a net stitched into space. A haze blooms ahead. The dead beacon zone, where the gate relays whisper too quietly for anyone to hear. It's not death. It's absence. Radios grow superstition in there. The Vigilance trackers will lose purchase if I cut power and surf the dark. I do the wrong thing right. Kill main. Kill transponder. Leave life support at a stubborn hum. We fall into quiet. For 5 seconds there is nothing. No ship, no nation, no math. Now, Naya breathes, and I hear the edge in it, the tiny tremor that means Kaal is calling her rank. Speak. I take her hand. I put the monitor in her palm because it started that way. Pulse to pulse, the only contract I sign. I lean to her ear and fill the dark with the only truth I want to live in. You're safe, sweetheart. Her breath latches to mine like a second heart. Kaal speaks somewhere with a voice like ice sheets calving. Nia flinches once, hard, then settles. Again. You're safe, sweetheart, I say, and I say it again. And it's ridiculous, and it is a weapon. I feel the recall lattice test and fail inside her. I feel her anchor to me, not because I bought her, but because I'm here. The tracker ping thins, smears, dies. The vigilant sensor net expects a certain geometry of fear. We're drawing a different shape. A rock looms out of nothing, a chunk of old asteroid cracked like a tooth. I breathe left. Maggie slides. Another rock, smaller, closer. I work the thrusters with my fingertips, nudge, nudge, like calming a skittish horse. The dead zone is full of fossils and math errors. Ethan, Naya says, steady now. 2 degrees port. The rock shadows a shadow. I trust, tilt, and a spike of metal like a harpoon flashes past where our bones were supposed to be. The vigilant is angry now. She's throwing elegant knives into the dark and hoping we will try to be reasonable. Conquered to stray, the radio hisses, crawling back to life as we graze the edge of silence. Return, or we null the Atlas's charter. You condemn them. Naya looks at me like a verdict she wants to change. I swallow the picture of our people queued at a ration line that lengthens until winter. I bank starboard and ride the rock's shadow farther than the map believes in. New vector, I tell Maggie. Punch on my mark. Mark? Naya asks, professional even inside theft. When I stop shaking. We clear the rock's lee. The noise comes back like a tide. The tracker tries to remember us. I slam main, a hot spark in a cold room. Maggie coughs, grabs the void, runs. The vigilant lunges after, but her knives were meant for someone obedient to math. We duck through gravel, flash a moonlet, and vanish into the blind between relay cones, where even rich ships become superstition. I don't breathe until the pursuit numbers drop below inevitable. I don't relax until they drop below probable. I don't speak until all I can hear is Maggie and the wet animal sound of my lungs learning joy again. Nia unhooks her harness and folds into the tiny space beside my chair, close enough that our shoulders learn each other by pressure. Her hands are shaking a little. Mine are worse. She lays her palm over my monitor like we never left Med. You were loud, she says, almost laughing, almost crying, not doing either because she was built to be still and is choosing not to be. Loud is a skill, I say, and swallow hard. Teach me quiet later. We will have later, she answers, and the certainty in her voice makes me want to kneel. Silence puts its hand on our heads. The black around us is not empty. It's full of things we didn't purchase that still belong to us. I look at her, the copper hair escaping my old jacket, the taper of ears that once meant hierarchy and now means something like a vow. She looks at me like level ground. Ethan Cole, she says, you have broken 3 protocols, 2 laws, and 1 system. Only 1, I say, and she gives me the kind of small smile that makes empires draft new rules. We're not safe. Not yet. Not truly. Kaal will count again. She will bargain with our captain. She will sharpen the word correction until it can cut a ship in half. But in the hush where engines settle after a run, when our recklessness stops ringing and our bodies rediscover their weight, there is a new constant. I lean to her ear. It is not a password. It is not a leash. It is the hand I keep offering in the dark, until she chooses to take it every time. You're safe, sweetheart.